Okay, guys, so welcome. This is a lecture from section 10.4. Section 10.4, it's about application of linear equation, problem solving. And what we're going to do, we're going to solve uh, the, the word problems. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so let me start it. Problem solving. Problem solving flowchart for word problems. Okay, so I will give you some steps how to solve the word problems. However, like everything else, it requires some practice. So first, what we have to do with the word problem, of course, we need to read the problem carefully. Of course, you need to understand the problem to be able to solve it. Step 2, you're going to assign labels to unknown quantities. So that's when you assign X or Y. Step 3, write a verbal model equation. So what we're reading, we need to transform into equation. Step 4, write a mathematical equation. Step 5, solve the equation. Solve the equation and check if your answer makes sense. Okay, and let's do the first example. Example 1. We're going to translate to a linear equation. So we're going to practice how to translate words, the sentence which we're reading, into linear equations or expression. So let's practice. A. The sum of a number and -7 is 12. Okay, and we need to find the number. Okay, so find the number. Okay, so usually I'm reading the word problems backwards. So find the number. Okay, so we need to find the number. So that means I need to introduce the variable. Okay, so X will be the number which we need to find. Okay, so now we're going to start translating. They saying the sum. So sum means addition of a number. So I label that number X and negative 7. So of course, negative 7 is just negative 7. Is, word is, means equal 12. So we need to write the equation. So we start with the sum of the number, which is x, and negative 7 is, which means equal sign, 12. So we have our equation. So like you guys see, it didn't really take us too long to create it. Now we're just going to solve it. So we need to move that negative 7 to the other side. So we'll just add 7 to both sides. That cancel, and we have x is equal 19. This is the solution. And we're going to check. So number plus negative 7 should give me 12. So that definitely works because we end up with 12 equal 12. So we are good. We check that. Let's practice more. Let's do B. 13 more than twice a number is 5 more than the number. Find the number. Okay, so we need to create the equation, we need to solve it, and what we need to do, we have to find the number. So I'm going to label x, again, the number, which we need to find. Okay, so they're asking for one thing, so you only introduce one variable. Okay, so now let's just translate a little bit. Okay, here when we're reading, they're saying 13 more. So let's just explain that more means plus. We're going to add it. Okay, then we're using something like this, twice a number. So twice a number means 2x, right? Is 5 more, so we know what is more than the numbers. So now it's time to create the equation. So let's start reading. And of course is, I mentioned that before, is means equal sign. Okay, so let's create the equation. So 13 more means plus, then twice a number, so that means 2x, is means equal, 5 more, so 5 more, we adding 5, then the number, and the number is x. And now we're just going to solve the equation. So that's our equation, and we need to solve it. So you need to solve for x. So I'm going to move that positive x to the left side of the equation since it's positive. So let's subtract x from both sides. And here we have 2x minus x, which is x. So we have 13 plus x equal 5. And we're going to move 13 to the right side of the equation. So subtract 13 from both sides. And we're getting that x is equal negative 13 plus 5. That will give you negative 8. Okay, so let's do more. So that's our solution. Let's practice more. One more like this, 3 times. 3 times the sum of a number and 8 number, that's my R, number, and 8 is 4 more than the number. Find the number. Find the number. Okay, so the same idea. X, the number which we need to find. The number which we need to find. Okay, and we're going to start translating. 3 times, so that will be 3 times 3 times something. Now here I want you to pay attention. We have the sum of a number and 8. So we have the sum of a number and 8. Okay, so here we're going to talk about addition. So let me first start translating. Let's creating. So we have 3 times the sum, so that's plus, of a number and 8. Okay, so 3 times the sum. So when you have that word the sum, here it's time to put the parenthesis because we have 3 times and the sum. So again, that's the solution of addition. Okay, so make sure you're attaching the parenthesis because if you won't put parentheses, the answer will be wrong. Is, we know that word is means equal. So we're having is 4 more than the number. So we're adding 4. So the number is x. You can put x plus 4 or you can put 4 plus x. Okay? And this is our equation. So 3 times the sum, that's why I put the parenthesis, of the number, which is x, and 8 is, which is equal sign, 4 more than the number. So here we need to solve it. You're going to distribute 3 first. So let's just review how to solve that. This is 3x plus 24 equal 4 plus x. Subtract 24 from both sides. So we're having 3x equal 4 minus 24, which is negative 20 plus x. And just move x to the left side. So you subtract x from both sides. So that will give you 2x equal negative 20 and just divide each by 2 and you're getting x equal negative 10. Okay, so that's our solution. Okay, so we did a couple problems like that. I want to introduce the definition of consecutive integers because we're going to solve consecutive integers problems. So that will be next. Consecutive integer problems. So we're going to focus on solving problems like this. So consecutive integers, what that means? That means following one after the other. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's consecutive integer. Following one after the other. One after the other. In order. Without gaps. Example 1, 2, 3, and so on. So consecutive integers. Okay. So again, 1, 2, 3, again, is the example of 3 consecutive integers. Okay, so that will be the first example. The different example, let's say 2, 4, 6, and so on. They are also consecutive integers, but we call them even. This is the example of 3 consecutive even integers because, like you see, all those numbers are even. So this is example of 3 consecutive even integers. And also you can have something like this, like negative 27, negative 25, then negative 23, and so on. So they are also consecutive integers. So this is example of 3 consecutive odd integers. Okay, because here we have odd integers. So couple things, because you guys will have to build it. You will have to solve the problem. So I really want to give you a hint before we start solving problems. So consecutive integers differ by 1. So like you guys see, okay, from negative 27, not here, consecutive integers, I'm not talking about even or odd, right here, just regular consecutive integers. To be able to get to the next one, we need to add 1, okay? So they differ by 1, okay? So when, let's say here, have 0, something, and you have x. So I don't know, this is just consecutive integer, this is just the integer. So in order to get the next one, you will just need to add 1, right? So this one will be x plus 1, the next consecutive integer. Okay? Okay, so x was the previous one, and then x plus 1 is the next one. Okay. Now, consecutive integers, so that's 1. Now let's talk about consecutive odd or even integers. They differ by 2. So consecutive even integers, you have 2, then 4, then 6, so they differ by 2. The same thing with add, you have 1, and the next one it's 3. So they differ by 2, okay? So if x is the previous number, the next one is x plus 2. Okay, so I'm going to show you on the number line the example of consecutive add or even because they behave very similar. So this is the number line. So we have 0, and x is, for example, consecutive add number, the first one. So in order to get to the next one, okay, I need to add 2. So the next one will be x plus 2. Okay, so let's say if this is number line, so you have 1, then you have 3, and so on. So again, this is my add integer, the next one consecutive, I need to add 2. And it works the same for even. So now let's focus on solving problems with consecutive integers. A. So the sum of 2 consecutive even integers is 66. Find the integers. Okay, so we need to find 2 consecutive even integers. Here we're talking about even integers, which we know that their sum will give you 66. Okay, so we need to find those integers. So first we need to label. Okay, so x will be the first even consecutive, the first even integer. So since we're talking about even, we know that they differ by 2. So the next one we can express with the expression x plus 2. And that will be the second even consecutive integer. And now, since we introduced the first and the second consecutive integer, we can build the equation. So we're talking about the sum. Okay, sum is plus. So I have a sum of 2 consecutive integer. So the first one, the smaller one, will be x. And the second one, it's going to differ by 2. So that means to be able to get to the second one, I need to add 2. So I take my previous one and I'm adding 2. Is, we know what is means equal 66. And now we have the equation, we need to solve it. So let's just solve it. So x plus x will give you 2x plus 2 is equal 66. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We're getting 2x is equal 64. And then divide each by 2. And we're getting x equal 32. So when you find the first one, so don't forget that x is equal 32 is the first even consecutive integer. So this is the first even integer consecutive, because we're talking, which they ask in problem. So the next one, in order to find the next one, we need to add 2. So we're having 32 plus 2, that will be 34. So 34 is the second even consecutive integer. So make sure, guys, that you read the problems. Here they're talking about even, so we're using that information that even consecutive integers differ by 2. And you can always check your work, okay? Let's do more. B, 5 times the smallest of 3, now we're talking about 3, the smallest of 3 consecutive integers is 17, less than, okay, I'm going to put a star here because less than, when you see the word less than, this is the tricky one, you working backwards here, okay? Less than twice the sum of the integers. Okay. And you need to find the integers. So you need to find those 3 integers. Okay, so here we're talking about 3 consecutive integers. Okay, we're not talking about even, we're not talking about add. So regular consecutive integers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we know that they differ by 1. Okay, so now we have to start label them. Okay, so we need to find 3 numbers, so you need to label 3 of them. Okay, so let's label them. Let's X will be the smallest integer, the first one, the smallest integer. So in order to find the second one, I need to add 1. So x plus 1 will be the second consecutive integer. So then to get the third one, so from the second consecutive integer, I need to add 1. So I'm taking the previous one, which is x plus 1, and I'm adding 1. And that will give you x plus 2 is the third consecutive integer. So again, in order to get the next one, you need to add to the previous integer 1. So if x is the first one, so to get the second one, I add 1, which is x plus 1. So x plus 1 is the second one. In order to get the third one, I need to add 1 again, and that's how we end up with x plus 2. So we have 3 consecutive integers. Now what we need to do, we need to translate it. Let me just give you a note, because I mentioned when you see less than, note for less than, okay? Less than is a little tricky word, that's why I put the star here. When you see it, that means start building expressions reading from right to left, backwards. Okay? Okay, so let's start building equations. Okay, so let's start reading. We have 5 times. 5 times. We are here 5 times. So 5 times means 5 times, okay? The smallest of 3 consecutive integers. So the smallest of 3 consecutive integer, I'm right here, the smallest of 3 consecutive integers is x. So I have 5 times x. And now I'm here. Is 17 less than twice the sum of the integer? So is means equal sign. And I mentioned to you guys that when you see the word less than, is 17 less than twice the sum of the integers. You reading from right to left when you see less than. So I'm reading from the right. Twice the sum of the integers, twice the sum. So I mentioned in the previous problem that when you have the word the sum, that will be the parenthesis. Okay, right here, twice the sum of the integers. So you have three integers. What we need to do, we need to add them. So the first one plus the second one, which is x plus 1, plus the third one, x plus 2. So this is how I build twice the sum of the integer 17 less than. 17 less than. So less than means minus 17. Okay. So just remember, less than, of course, we're going to 17 less than, we're going to subtract 17, but make sure that you're subtracting that 17 from twice the sum of those three integers. So less than, when you see the word less than, again, read from right to left to not having any issue. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to solve that problem. Okay, so we have 5x equal 2 times, and you're going to add it. X plus x plus x, that will give us 3x plus 3 minus 17. So don't forget, when you're solving those problems, you follow all the order of operations, which means first we need to distribute 2. So we have 6x plus 6 minus 17. Simplify the right side a little bit, so you have 6x minus 11. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to move 6x to the left side, so I'm subtracting 6x from both sides. 5x minus 6x will give you negative x equal negative 11, and just divide each by negative 1, because negative, that means you have negative 1 in front of x. So we're dividing each by negative 1, and we have that x is equal 11. Okay, so x is equal 11. Don't forget that this is the smallest integer. Okay, so the next one is x plus 1. So x plus 1 is 11 plus 1, which is 12. That's the second consecutive integer. And of course, the third one will be 13. The last one, we express that as x plus 2. So x plus 2, which is 11 plus 2, we're getting 13, is the third consecutive integer. Okay, so we find them, okay? And when you guys solving the problems, make sure that your solution makes sense. We talk about three consecutive integers. So we have 11, 12, 13. They definitely consecutive integers. If you want to, you can go ahead and plug in them right here into the equation to make sure that we end up with the correct answer. Okay, we continue. Okay, we're going to solve a couple more problems. I have two more problems for you guys from the textbook, and then we'll be done. Okay, so don't forget that this lecture is from section 10.4. Okay, so let's continue. If you guys need to take a break, take a break. I'm just going to continue, and I will solve some problems from a textbook. So this is textbook. This is page 575, and I'm going to solve number 31. Okay, 575, and I'm going to solve 31. So let me see if I can go to ebook. Okay, this is ebook, and I need to go to page 575. Okay, right here, 575. 575, go. And I want to solve number 31. Okay, so this is number 31. Just thinking if I can copy and paste that. I will try. 31. Okay. And now let me go to my notes. Insert. Pause. Okay. Not sure how to do it. No. Okay. Okay. Let me just go back to the textbook. Let's just read it. Okay. I just don't want to waste time on this one to trying to figure out how to do it. Okay, number 31. So we have a board is 86 centimeters in length and must be cut so that one piece is 20 centimeters longer than the other piece. So this is nice because in this problem they give you they're showing you um, the solution. They're showing you the picture. So we have the board, which is 86 centimeters in length. We must to cut it so that one piece is 20 centimeters longer than the other. So if this is one piece right here, so the other will be x plus 20. And what we need to do, find the length of each piece. So we need to figure out how long is this one and how long is this one. So let me just go back here. Okay, so they gave us the board. We know that the length of the board is 86 centimeters and they're cutting that way. So we're trying to figure out how long is each piece. Okay, we know that the other piece is 20 centimeters longer. So if this piece is x, so the other one will be just x plus 20. So you need to create the equation. Those two pieces together, of course, will give you 86. So when you solve for x, we having 2x plus 20 equal 86. Subtract 20 from both sides, and we're getting that 2x it's equal 66. Divide by 2, and we're getting that x is equal 33 centimeters. So that's the first piece. So the second one will be x plus 20, which is 33 plus 20, and that will give you 53 centimeters, second piece. Okay, so you may see problems like that on your homework. And I want to solve one more problem. This is problem from page 575, number 37. So number 37. So this is number 37. Okay, so we have, let me just, okay, we have a car dealership sells SUVs and passenger cars. For recent years, 40 more SUVs were sold than passenger cars. If a total of 420 vehicles were sold, Find the number of each type of vehicle sold. So we have car dealerships. They're selling only two types of cars, SUVs and passengers cars. Okay. What we know? We know that in recent years they sold 420 vehicles together, and for a recent year 40 more SUVs were sold than passenger cars. So a couple things here, guys. What's going to be your variable, like X? Okay, so you always make your variable the one which the other one is compared to. So if you read this problem, the second sentence, for a recent year, 40 more SUVs were sold than passenger cars. So we're comparing SUVs to passenger cars. So that means my variable X will be the amount of passengers cars the dealership sold in a recent year. Okay, so let's start solving this problem. Okay. So this is, okay. So this is one more. This is number 37 from your textbook. It's from page 575. Okay. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to label X number of passenger cars sold in the recent year. So now going back to that problem, oops. What I just did. Okay. So now going back to that problem, we know that for a recent year, 40 more SUVs were sold than passenger cars. So the numbers of SUV sold will be 40 plus X because we sold 40 more. So 40 plus X is the number of SUV sold, and the rest is the same in the recent year. Okay, so now we need to create the equation. We know that the car dealers sold 420 cars together. So that means passenger cars plus SUVs. Together they sold 420. Just solve the equation. So you have 2x plus 40 equal 420. Subtract 40 from both sides. And we're getting that 2x is equal 380. Divide each by 2. And we're getting that x is equal 190. And 190, that's the passenger cars. Okay, so SUVs will be 40 plus 190, which is 230. And that's the SUV cars. And of course, if you add them together, we'll end up with, can check your work, but 230 plus 190, that should give us 420, which definitely is correct. Okay, so that's it from section 10.4. Okay, I went over many problems, so hopefully that will help you to study and with your homework. And I will talk to you guys soon. Okay, so let me just stop the video.